Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to The Artist Prepares. I am your host, Mr. J the Actor. My next guest coming to the stage is from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, home of the North Carolina Tar Heels. He is a visual artist who believes that his art is an outward expression of an inward vision. He's also the CEO and founder of It's Tim's World. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Tim Jones.
What's going on, man?
You feeling? How you feeling, bro?
Man, I'm feeling great and getting better. How about yourself?
Hey, I can't complain, man. I'm excited to continue to still be alive this day and age, man, and
Absolutely.
in a position where I'm good, man. Holidays just went by, so I'm feeling good today, man. Hope you doing
Yeah,
it, man.
exactly, man. I said we got a lot to be thankful for. We made it through almost to the end of 2020, boy. You know, if you
Ooh.
say you made it to 2020, you a trooper. You know what I mean? So I'm glad to be here, just like yourself.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's gonna be fun today, man. I've known you for some time, man. But before we get into any of that, man, we definitely, we're gonna get warmed up a little bit. We don't want to just kind of dive into it cold, man. We're gonna warm this up like a 72 deuce in a quarter, man. We got
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
cool, man. So I got some rapid fire questions, man, and we're gonna just kind of dive into that, man, and go from there, man. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Cool. All right. First one, man. Would you rather have money or do you rather have power? Which one?
Ooh. You know, that's a good one, bro. Because some people say if you got the money, you got the power.
True.
But if you think about it, if you got power, there's ways you can get money. So
Mm,
I'm gonna go with the power. I'm
okay.
gonna go with the power.
I'm with you. When creating, right? You're a visual artist.
Absolutely.
First, the vision comes first, or do you have the product? So is it for you like, all right, I got all the materials and that starts the process, or is it I have a vision and then you go about getting the materials? What comes first?
Oh, absolutely. It's the vision. It's the vision every time because I'll see something I want to do or something that that excites me or it piques an interest or even brings back a memory. And from there, boom, I get cooking, man. That's what does it for me.
Okay, okay. What comes to mind? We're gonna do a little bit of word association. First thing that comes to mind when you hear these words. First word, wealth. First thing that comes to mind.
Wealth, lack
Ooh,
of, yeah,
ooh, ooh. Okay, okay. Doubt.
um, fear.
Mm. And that's actually my next word was fear. Was my next word doubt.
So the answer's gonna be doubt for that one. Because
um,
they're not mutually exclusive, man. They go together.
mm, I like it. I like it. What is your favorite non-rap song? It could be any other genre. What?
Oh, it's easy. It's easy. It's "Can You Stand the Rain" by New Edition.
Ooh, ooh. Why
Yeah,
that song? Up?
man, that's been. I call that like a coming of age type song for me because
Okay.
when that CD or when that album, whatever you want to call it, came out during that time period, that's when I was 18 years old, man. 18, that's when everything. That's when I grew up. I grew up with doing that time, man. So I've always been a New Edition fan from day one. But that right there, that's when they grew up. They had a grown up sound. That's when I grew up. That same
Mm,
period. Yeah.
okay.
And also, you think about the words, man.
And
Powerful, bro. Powerful.
storms will come. You gonna be the weather that storm, man.
Exactly, brother. You know it. You know it.
If you had to be on a reality show, what would it be?
Mm.
Anyone.
You mean all the ones that's currently out right now?
It could be past, present, future, whatever.
Oh, wow.
Reality
Wow,
show.
that's crazy. Because what's ironic you asked me that question because I don't generally look at reality shows because I don't see them as being reality to me. However, if I think back in the day, when Puff had the, making the band joint, that would have been the one. Especially the one with Dylon on it. Dylon.
Went to go get the cheesecake up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That would have been the one. That would have been the one.
I like it, man. A lot of people don't know about that, man. Check that
Yes,
out.
sir. Yes, sir.
Um, what do you want to be known for, right?
Wow.
Someone said, yo, you could be known for anything that you want to be. What would it be that you say you want to be known for?
Man, I would say, really just being a great human being,
Mm,
for being somebody that that cared for people, that just wasn't consumed by wealth or consumed by trying to have everything, be everything to all people, but somebody that they could really truly believe was a good human. They knew somebody that you could come to if you got issues, somebody you could talk to, somebody that hopefully have left a favorable impression on someone.
right, right. Okay, my man out here trying to make a difference out here.
I mean, I just that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do, baby.
Cool. So you're a huge, hip hop fan. You gonna say rap, but you're a
Right.
huge hip hop fan, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, there's a lot of songs that you can choose from in this next category. But what would you say, or who would you say had the best diss track?
Phew.
Hip
It's
hop
funny.
has
It's funny,
it was real diss. It wasn't this bubblegum
man.
joke.
No, no, no. Listen, man, it's funny you said that because I was listening to some diss tracks the other day, man,
Right.
and this person came up the other day, and I was like, "Cool, it's so many good ones for me," because I go back to LL and Kumo D when they was getting Jack
Right.
the Ripper was my joint, so I can't. I'm gonna have to give you two
Okay. You
because
got a one.
Jack the Ripper. Yeah, Jack. 1A is Jack the Ripper. From that time, LL going versus Kumo D, and then No Vaseline by Ice Cube, the
Oh,
way he destroyed NWA. Them,
oh,
them two, them my two best of all time, right there.
that,
1A and 1B.
that was personal right there. All right,
Yes, sir. Yes,
man.
sir.
What is one thing that artists should not do?
Ooh. Well, I would say the one thing that an artist should not do is you should never lose sight for why you started your art, why you started that art form. Never lose sight of that, because people will let other people start influencing them, tell them how to do things and what they need to do. When if you doing it, you true to your art form and doing it for the reason you started, you always gonna have inspiration and be able to do the things you want to do.
Cool, man. Shout out to the rapid fire. Get it in.
Yes, sir.
My man came ready. You came ready, dog.
Man, that was all good stuff. That was all fun, man. I enjoyed that.
Cool, man. So, many of us know our relationship and know us, if you listen to me at all. But there's a lot of people who don't. So I'm gonna let you kind of tell, like, how do we know each other?
Right, right. Well, it goes back to uh, Sprint Nextel days, man. We worked together in retail sales, man. Probably about 2011, around that time frame, I would say. That's when we first met. We was slinging them phones, son. We was moving that product,
Real.
and I had to have you know what I'm saying? We started having just a camaraderie, and we have a lot of things in common, man. And so from that point, that we just started our bond, man. And I could go for days talking about all the time we spent sitting in the parking lot talking about our dreams. So yeah, we it really goes back to those days.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. So yeah, we've known each other for a little minute now, man. To the Sprint days, and even now, man, with adults, our families have grown. Like you said, we spent hours. We would get out of work what 8 o'clock and 11 o'clock. Our wives, hey, y'all coming home today?
You
Like,
coming home tonight? You coming in tonight? Yes, sir.
oh, what's going on? So, man, we spent many nights chopping it up just about art, about life, fatherhood, relationships. I mean, everything, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Really limit as far as the things we talked about.
Right, right.
And also on top of that, for those who don't know you, man, my man Tim Jones is a visual artist, the founder, creator of Tim's World, and just a dope artist. And we're gonna have some fun today and kind of let him kind of share some of these things, man. So before we get into Tim's World, tell us about what does it mean to you to be an artist?
Okay. I mean, an artist to me means that you have a talent that you want to express to the world.
Mhm.
It may be a talent that is not as well known. It may be a talent that you don't see anybody else doing, but it's a talent that's a God given talent.
Mhm.
And if you have that the creative spirit, you want to put it out there and it may not necessarily be for everybody, and you may not even do it for everybody. You know what I mean? You do it because that's what you're gifted to do.
Yeah, I like it. I like it, man. It's all about that.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
tell us your story, man. How did you get into the arts? Right. I'm always curious to hear people's story as how they got into it because everyone has their own way or shape. It's like when people think about being a preacher, like I was
Right.
chosen or I was pushed into it. Like, what is your story as how you got into the arts, man?
Wow. Well, for my particular art form that I do, we call them interactive models. Started when I was a little kid, man. I was 7, 8 years old,
Mm,
and just uh, I like action figures. We had them back in those days, but they were never things I could move and do anything that I really want to do with them. They were kind of like static. You know what I mean? You really couldn't do a lot with them. And so, as time went on, I started making my own, making my own stuff. And some of it was out of necessity. We weren't the richest, we weren't the poorest, so I
right.
couldn't get everything I wanted. So I created what I wanted, and so really it was a way for me to entertain myself.
Mm,
I grew up in the era, it's first area of the latchkey kids. Sometimes I come home be by myself, at a certain age,
right.
not quite that early, but a little after that. And it's just something for me to entertain myself, man. And from there, as I grew older, I started getting a little more in depth with them, doing a little more detail with them. And I had an experience, and I may have shared with you before. I actually decided I'm gonna show people what I do. So I took this to school to actually share with one of my art teachers.
Mhm.
And I want to say I was in like eighth grade. I think it was eighth grade.
Wow, that early.
Actually, no, I'm sorry, it was ninth grade. It was ninth grade. And I remember I went, I was telling this one of my boys, he was like, "Yo, man, that's dope." So I showed it to my teacher, and she immediately shut it down. She was like,
Are you serious, dog?
he said, "That's not art." You know, what is this? You know, and I was like, I'm in ninth grade. I'm like, I kind of want to throw hands, but I didn't want to do that. I get put out of school, but at the same time, I was like, wow. So that kind of made me pull back from even ever sharing with anybody. My family has known about this since I've been a kid. They call, hey, tell them about this little people who doing this little thing. But outside of the family, that was the only time I really ever shared with anybody, and she shot me down. So you know that's a lesson for somebody else too. Again, I mentioned earlier that it may not be for everybody. You know what I mean? Everybody don't see your dream, but
That's
that's how it started
art
though.
teacher, dog?
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
that was an art teacher. So that's how everything started.
So, thanks for sharing that, man. I never knew that. That's insane. Like,
Yeah,
you even go from that point. So,
yeah.
tell us this, man. When did you consider yourself an artist, or even maybe do you even consider yourself an artist? Because I know artists, we're very different people.
Right.
And sometimes we're so focused on doing the work that we don't really pay attention to anything else. So, uh, did you have a moment where you're like, "No, I'm an artist because I create"? Did you ever have that?
Not until I became an adult, and that really, I would say in the early 2000s, my mom she pulled out some stuff on me. She had some stuff that that I had done previously. She was like, "You need to do something with this, man. This is unique. It's unique talent. You need to do something with it." And I was like, you know, maybe I'll take a stab at that type of thing. But I didn't really see myself as an artist. Um, and then later on, as time unfolded, I ran into a gentleman by the name of Jay Weeks. Uh, that's kind of when the giant reawakened. Once you and I got to collaborating, and you know how the story goes from there.
Wow, I didn't even realize that, man. I
Yeah,
just always assumed because once you told me now that like you started early on the game, I just thought that was just something you was constantly doing. So I didn't know when you were sharing it to me like that was kind of like your all right, let me reintroduce this to the world type thing. I was unaware of that. So dang,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah. Yeah. You learn. Hey, we learn something new every day, don't
what do you know about people, man?
we? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Would you say that um did you have any creative influences with your art? Because I know a lot of times people can look at a certain someone doing the same discipline and like, oh, I like, this or being inspired by painters or people who draw or whatever. Did you have any creative influences with your art?
Well, absolutely, man. Because one thing that I did along with doing my art form I do now, I always like to draw. And so I was always as a kid you into superheroes, you into cars,
All
stuff
day.
like that. So I'm drawing that all the time, man. I had another good friend of mine in like sixth grade. We used to be drawing, have like little drawing contests, man, just doing little stuff. And so that was initially where the skill kind of came forward. I started wanting to make what I was drawing, or make some that I've seen another drawing. And I've always like, paintings, um, you know, uh, from back in the day, from the 80s, I always liked when people were doing tagging and doing
Yeah.
graffiti. So, I mean, I've always had like, I like art, visual art, and, that's kind of where I got most of my inspiration from. Of course, hip hop has been a big inspiration for me, that.
Oh yeah, all day, all day. So
Yes, sir.
that's crazy that you started off with drawing. So when you started to create your figures, right? Was
Right.
was it a sketch like I'm gonna draw this, or was it just kind of I'm just gonna go and freehand and just come
Now,
in?
like if I drew it, I just look at it and start trying to twist it up, try to make it, And I started out with paper, which was a lot harder to do, until I started, moving into, using other mediums.
Oh wow.
Yes, sir.
So how do you describe your art, man? Because I mean, we see a little bit of your artwork in the background, playing in the background right there. But
Right,
how
right,
do
right.
you describe?
Right,
How
sir.
would you describe your art to someone who's never seen it or seen anything like yours? How do you describe it?
Typically what I tell people is, some people look at them as figurines, and I say, yeah, that's a good, kind of a description of them. I say, we call them interactive models because the way what I make them out of, it allows you to pose them in different poses. So one day you may change it to a different pose. You may want to have them doing a different, different stance or sitting down or doing anything. So I call them interactive models, because I think that, if you see one of them, usually it's going to say, I'm not toot my own horn, but it's an eye catcher because you can see something that reminds you of something. It may remind you of something that you saw back in the day, or it may even bring you nostalgia for something that you were involved with back in the day, and you may want to change the way it's looking. So I call them interactive models because I think it allows you to interact with the art.
Yeah, yeah. And so I remember, I don't know if you sent me a pose. I mean, not a pose. I don't know if you sent me a picture or something you sent me, and I was like, "What is this, dog?" You were like, "Artwork. What'd you think?" I said, "What are you doing on Tuesday of next week?" And he was like, "Nothing." I said, "All right, meet me at Panera Bread this time." And the moment I seen that, man, I'm like, dog, like, how long you been doing this? When you been doing this? How you come up with these ideas? And you were like,
Right.
been doing this for a minute. This is just like you said. This is something I started just to entertain myself, and to see that you were taking an idea of, all right, I want X. Even for my wife, I was like, yo, she's from New York, she's from Brooklyn. Could you create a biggie? You said, yeah, I think I can do that. And you did it. I'm like, yo, my son, he's the king, call him King J. Think you do a line? Yeah, I got you. And even when you did Bob Marley, I'm like, this dude is taking something. And I like the fact that it wasn't exactly how somebody would be. When people do paintings, right? They want it to be exactly how that person looks, right? To the T. If they got a birthmark or a scar or something, they want to have that. But I like the fact that yours wasn't like that. It didn't have all the features that people would expect. And I was like, this dude really is taking his own interpretation of art, man. So do you feel like your art is your interpretation of these people or whatever you're making?
100%. That's kind of what I always kind of say. This is my own interpretation of how I see the world, or how I see, whatever I'm looking at the time. And I typically, will do something in their detail that you're gonna know who it is. You may not, like I said, you might not necessarily see their face where you see eyes, their birthmark or whatever, but
Right.
it'll be something where you're gonna say, I know what it is as soon as I see it. That type of thing. But yeah, I definitely would say it's my own interpretation. It's just where my mind sees it, and I just put it together.
Yeah, because I just thought about it. So none of your models don't have eyes though, right?
None
That's
of them have eyes.
But yet we can still know who they are. I ain't
Yep,
even think about that.
yep, yeah. They will have a nose and some ears, a beard, a mustache, something like that, but they never have eyes. They never have eyes.
Yeah, I never even thought about that, son.
Yeah. Yep. So but I think it gives you room to like imagine. You say, "Oh man, I could, I can see that," and that's kind of the way I do it. I imagine how they would look, and then I just put it together.
Dang. Okay, that's dope, man.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you're a pretty successful guy, within life. Got a nice family. You had several business ventures. You always got something going on. You worked numerous jobs. You like myself. You worked everywhere and been
Yep.
successful. Why art, man? Because everyone, now it's about having the high paying job or this or trying to be this or that. Like, why art for you?
Man, that's a good question, and the best way to kind of answer that is that you know a lot of us, we chase money, we chase success, based on what we see. We see it on the gram, we see it on Facebook. We see people, people stunting, and we chase that. But at the end of the day, if you're not doing what you like to do, what you want to do, what you're inspired to do, and what you were put here to do, for the most part, you never reach that level of success you're looking for. And that's my own opinion, because people equate success, different ways. For me, like I said, I'm successful just because I raised two beautiful kids. I'm married for 27 years. I feel that's success. I don't necessarily feel,
You love when that.
yeah, 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 yes, sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I don't necessarily feel having a bunch of money and having a bunch of cars, different things. I don't feel like being successful, man. I think you're successful when you can take an idea that you came up with, or that you were blessed with, and you bring that from from the beginning all the way to actually having a product, or having a service, having something that you can call your own. I think that's successful. So
Mm.
that's
So,
that's why I do it.
okay. So for you, it's not just about one particular thing as it relates to success. You look at the broader scope of it, is what you're saying, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because you can't just put success in one category. It's not the same for everybody, man.
And I'm glad you talked about that because I had that was one of my things I wanted to ask about, right? Everyone has their idea of what success is, right? Whether they're artists or not. Everyone has a goal or something that makes them say, okay, cool, now I'm successful. But I know also as artists, we're very critical people, and sometimes we're worried about what's the next thing I can do? What else can I create? And
Right.
sometimes we're so focused on the art that we don't, take the time to smell the rose and say, hey, I'm doing okay. Have you had a moment that you have felt successful, or are you still looking for that moment where you feel like, all right, I feel like I'm doing something now that's kind of successful. I feel like, hey, I can pat myself on the back. Do you have a moment, or have you had a moment rather that you felt successful?
I like that. I would say, for the most part, I typically don't, sit back. You said sit back and smell the roses, and realize I kind of just like stay in that creative mode and keep moving to the next thing. But there's been a couple opportunities, and you have actually been involved in both of those opportunities, where I've had, we had an event, and I had people, some people that are close to me. I wanted to share what I was doing with them before I really shared it with the world. And both times, just the support that I got from them, from yourself, as well as other close people that I have, for them to say, "Hey, man, I'm proud of you. I like what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing."
Mhm.
That really, that's the only time I kind of really like, it's okay. I'm on the right path. Somebody they see what I'm doing. But for the most part, I don't do it for anybody else.
Yes, yes, I can attest to that. Even when I was first getting introduced to your artwork and what you do, you know me. If I see someone doing something, I'm gonna try everything I can to push them in whatever way I can.
Right.
When I first saw your work, I was like, this is so unique and different. I've never seen anything like this. And I remember kind of talking to you, and you were kind of looking like, I mean, okay, yeah, like I don't really, not that you thought that what you were doing was bad, was like you weren't creating it to say, hey, I'm gonna show the world. Like you didn't have this master plan of I'm gonna release this at this day. And it was just like, this is what you did. And so when I had the opportunity, I'm like, you know what would be a dope idea? And I pitched the idea to you. I said, listen, man, I'm doing a show And I'm thinking about doing a networking event where, you're an artist. It'll be an opportunity for you to network with other artists, but also you get to showcase some of your work. Would you be interested? And you were like, I remember you sat back and thought, you was like, would I be interested? Uh, yeah. And you kind of thought about it. I think you were more like, I guess it was something that was maybe new or something that maybe you hadn't thought about as an idea to collab with something like that to create.
Right.
Because, artists, they do art shows and they do pop-up shops and things like that. But to say I'm going to show my artwork at a play is kind of like foreign. So
Right.
I can see the kind of thought process like, you my man's and all, but let's see. Okay, let's see. And you took a little second. It was like, all right, we're gonna see what we can make work. And I did the show. The show was called Bella Masquerade, which was my actual directing debut, which I directed, two wonderful young ladies, Mr. Collier Street and Precious Bell, which was an amazing show. But man, the work that we put into that show was like everything in the world went wrong that could go wrong with that show. From not being able to rehearse to trying to figure
Absolutely.
out a way to come there and so many different things, man. But even with you creating your artwork, I remember I'm saying, hey, Jones, look, man, I need you to have some work on deck. I don't know to tell you what to do and what not to do because I don't know this lane. This ain't my space. But make sure you got something. And I just remember you just kind of, hit creating different things. And all right, man, I'm working on this and this and this. And to the day we had that showcase, I just remember watching people just coming up to you like, hey man, where you get this? Wait, nah, mate, you made this? How you? All the different pieces that you had, yeah. So you sold quite a few of your artwork, quite a few pieces of your artwork, and just to see the responses that people had for you, I was excited for you, man, because this is somebody I know. This is someone that I'm not gonna say you didn't want to do it, but it was something outside of your comfort zone. So I feel like it was
Right. Right.
kind of stretching you as to like, all right, now I got to be in front of the world. Okay, all right, cool. But
Yeah. Yeah.
you
It was cool.
you definitely trusted in and believed in my vision behind it though. So I mean, tell us about, just what went into that show, that art showcase, and kind of what were you thinking? I mean, I shared my part, but what were your thoughts just with even from just the conception of creating the idea? What were your thoughts behind that, man?
Yeah, that's good, man. Because I was just thinking about when you tell me your story. I was thinking about how when you first asked me, I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, 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 I guess we could do that." In my mind, I'm thinking like, "What have I just got myself into?" You know what I mean? Because first and foremost, I'd already been to a J Weeks Entertainment play before, and I know how professional and how you do your thing. And I'm like, man, I can't mess this up. I can't mess up his hustle. You know what I'm saying? So, your idea, and you kind of when you said it to the people just now, you kind of shortchanged your idea. Your idea was it was like mind blowing. I mean, when you said we're gonna do a red carpet event, we gonna have a play. I mean, I was like, oh wow, a red carpet event in Durham. Wow, what's going on? So, you know, that made me really want to do it really because like what it's I'm not haven't been around that type of environment before. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? I say I've been around Jay Weeks and I've seen his plays. I know how he brings the heat. I say I got to come correct. And
Mm,
so I just it made me kind of get me more focused. And I went through the process of trying to figure out what I wanted to make to bring for the audience to see. And man, I just remember picking my brain and then said, all right, it's time to go. Let's get it. And we kept in contact with each other as time was drawing near, the dates were getting near, kind of
mm,
see where we were at, having meetings and things of that nature. But just your professional manner in which you do stuff kind of rubbed off on me. I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna do this, I got to make sure I do this to the J Weeks Entertainment standards, man. And so,
mm.
to this day, man, I enjoy it. The picture's sitting right here. You can't see it, but I see that picture every day
Yeah.
from the backdrop. So I'm like, man, that was a great event, and that was the first really launch of what I did. So I'll never forget that. I'll
That
never forget
man,
that.
like you said, I just had a vision. I saw something because I'm a huge, not only am I an artist, but I'm a huge fan of art. And I'm even more intrigued by things that I can't create myself, right? Like I can't sing, but I love to hear people sing, or
Yeah.
if it's an instrument I don't know how to play, I'm like, yo, how do you do that? So I was intrigued just looking at the work, but I always felt like, okay, if someone is doing something, especially if they're artists, if I can help them, why not? And it's not like you went to me and said, "Hey, dog, can you help me with this opportunity?" I just saw something, and I felt like it was a responsibility to me to say, "Hey, how can I push this forward? Because people don't know about this. How can I get him out of this comfort zone to kind of uh be ready to move?" I didn't know that you felt like, "Oh, snap, like I gotta get to this standard." I was just, I guess, so busy on doing the work, I wasn't thinking about anything outside of that. I just wanted to say, hey, I want to give you a chance to shine. Hopefully you see the vision, but it's really, that really artist, that was my first time doing a red carpet event. So I had never had a backdrop. I never had a red carpet. I never had a photographer professionally to take pictures. I never had any of those things. So it was new for me too. So it was great to kind of experience that with somebody that you known for, some time and believed in your vision. So, shout out to you
Yeah.
for rocking with my idea, but
Man,
I was just trying to make it work, man.
man, it definitely worked, man. We pulled it off, like I said, with the backstory, the things you had to go through to get to that point. You know what I mean? Me too, trying to get my banners and stuff made and in time, and man, everything went to the last minute,
It was
but
rough.
we got it done, and everybody enjoyed it, man. Everybody, my family enjoyed it. You had a lot of folks there that supported you from everywhere, So it was a beautiful event, man. I
Yeah,
really enjoyed it.
it was fun, man, but it was challenging, and that's why I knew
Yes.
I had to do it. Up to the point the show almost didn't happen. From people not being able to come together. We couldn't get everything set, the dates, time, rehearsing. Uh,
Yeah.
Everything was just, man, it was a challenge. Up to the hours before the show, it was trying to
Wow.
find a shirt for my tux. Like I don't got a shirt, but I got a tux. So many different things, but man, I'm so grateful that we pushed through, and that's a
Yeah.
testament to just that mindset of like, dog, I can't lose. And I was like, I was unwilling to give up. I knew it was going to be hard and challenging, and then also I had to kind of step back from like trying to push stuff with you. I'm like, hey, dog, like I want to help you, but I don't know how this is gonna come together. So I'm gonna have to dial back a little bit. So
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you need me, I got you. So
Right.
yeah, man, it was great to see that all come to pass, and everyone had a great time. To this day, I still get people ask about the photos, or man, when you did this red carpet event, and just the feedback was amazing, man. I
It
was
was
glad I got to share that opportunity with you, but I didn't know that that was like your first big thing like that. I thought you had
yeah.
been, I'm thinking you had been doing that. So
Yeah,
wow,
that was it. That
more
that
you
was
know.
that catapulted things right there, man. That was it.
So let me ask you this, man. You said, once you got to be an adult, it kind of, you started to take it a little more serious. Was that the first moment where you had like, this is like, okay, I can really be doing something with this? Because I know everyone has those moments where they feel like this is bigger or just more than just the average or just anything. So was that the first time that you really took serious, like trying to really hone in on that craft?
Yeah, I would say, like I said, when my mom broke it out in early 2001, I believe, and she started planting the seed. And I pondered on it and did a little this, did a little bit of that, and but then I kind of like let life get in the way. You know what I mean? So I didn't really have that push, that desire. But then once again when it was rebirth, and I shared it with you, and then once we kind of start looking at things, okay, this maybe it's something that I could do something with. I started to see that it was a option for me. But again, I never saw it as something that I thought would just blow up, and people would just be going crazy over it. I have been I've been pleasantly surprised how well people have received it, to be honest with you. So that's kind of what started pushing me. I said, okay, you know what? That's the case, then I believe that if God gives you a gift, you're supposed to share it. You're supposed to do something with it.
Owe it back
Because
to the world, man.
back to the world, because he could have gave it to somebody else. You know what I mean? And once we figure it out, that's the key. Once we figure it out, and it can come from, again, from your own just experiences, or sometimes he put somebody in your path. You know what I mean? So I just believe that from that point on, like I said, once you and I started collaborating a little bit more,
Mhm.
that's when it started becoming something I think that I thought that I definitely need to share with the world.
Dope, man. I mean, I definitely enjoy being an artist. I think you kind of share that same, excitement
Oh
of
yeah.
being an artist and some of the joys that comes with it. But what do you feel are some of the hardest parts about just being an artist? Because it's not always a easy path for us, especially in today's society that sometimes teaches us art really is important. They teach us that it is not that important, even though everything you do is a reflection of art, and art is the biggest influence of everything. But
Absolutely.
what would you say are some of the hardest parts about just being an artist?
Well, being a creative person, you know, you see things differently. You go about things differently as well. And so, like, just I think one of the difficult things is, you know, how you interact with people, other people. And I put it this way, especially when you're doing, I mean, you have a artistic form that you're doing, and you're parlaying that into a business. Um, some people have other ideas about how you should do things, tell you how to do things business wise, but they have to understand your artistic concept first, because every business platform won't work for you. You know
Oh,
what I mean? So I think that's one of the biggest issues. Other than that, I would say just staying focused on your art. I probably should have said that first.
talk about.
I think man, because like you said earlier, art in every way, shape, or form has a it's been a part of life since the beginning.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes we kind of take our focus off what it is that we got into it for, what we want to do, and we started either getting into trying to figure out how to make a business out of it, or trying to stay current with what's going on in the world, where you know you just need to do what you do. If you do what you do, and you do it to the best of your ability, it'll work out. You'll find the right way to get it out there, or right way to share it. This book I read, it says a man's gift will make room for him. So um, I feel like if you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're doing things the right way, things are going to work for you. So I would say those two things. Especially, I should have said that first. Focusing on your art would probably be the biggest thing, because we got to think about it. We get caught up. We have families. We've got jobs. We got other things going on.
Happens, right?
So it happens. It happens. But you got to make time. And I learned that from a gentleman by the name of Jay Weeks. You have to make time, for what's important to you. And for and because literally, I think art keeps us going. Art gives us life.
Yes, it definitely does, and I know that's relevant for me. Like it's the one thing that I feel like validates me as a person. Nothing else. I've had jobs where I made buku amounts of money and had opportunities to do great things, but nothing gives me that same level of satisfaction or gratitude that I'm for, because it's just like, eh, yeah, I made a bunch of money, but at what cost? What did I have to
Exactly.
do? How
I'm
much
trying to put
did I
it.
have to, leave on the table for my family, right? Yeah, I made
Mhm.
a lot of money, but how much time away from my family did I get?
Oh,
Did I
definitely.
feel like there was a sense of purpose? Did I feel like I've done something for the greater good of myself or my family or even people I know? And most times it's no. You talked about Sprint. We both worked in a retail environment where, hey, we had to
Yeah.
slang them things in order to really make things happen. And
Well,
there were times where it wasn't always busy. And we had to find ways to be creative. And I think the biggest thing that we talked about the most was we spend 40, 50, 60 hours in a week,
speak
right?
on it. Speak on it. Speak on it.
About, helping these companies make, millions of dollars, not thousands or hundreds, millions of dollars.
That's right.
And we get into our own business or even ventures. You don't even have to be a business owner, right? Let's just talk about things that creating, or doing something that you love to do.
Right.
You can be somebody that designs boots. You take Tim's and you draw on boots, right? We are so fearful and afraid to fail that we don't even give it the time or effort that it needs, and we wonder why things don't work out. And I used to always say, Jones, if we can give half the effort, if you
Just half.
20 hours, if we give 20 hours a week to what we want to do in life, how much better things will be. How many times have we had that conversation?
Man, I can't even count. You know, I always, because I've been involved in other ventures before, and that's one of the things we always said is like if you really focus and put that time, at least a fraction of that time. Sometimes it may not even be half. But if you can put dedicated time into your craft and doing what you want to do, man, you're gonna get that much better at it. But on top of that, you're gonna start that confidence is gonna build because, like I said, the biggest thing we have. You said it earlier about fear. It comes from doubt. We doubting that we could be successful doing this, or we doubting that that somebody's going to like what we have or whatever, and that creates that fear. And fear is false evidence appearing real. We make that up. So why not bet on yourself? If you can spend all them hours working for the next man, you can bet on yourself, man.
And think about all the time that we've wasted on that. And even think about now, right? Being
Wow.
in 2020. Of course, when this airs gonna be 2021. Hopefully we'll be here to see it.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
think about just all the time and effort, and even now, seeing that people who had jobs for X amount of years, they're like, hey, I'm straight. I've been with this company forever, no problem. Let go, fired,
Hmm.
you know, uh, furloughed, whatever. And all the time we're putting that time and effort into all these things. But I feel like now was the time where people will be like, hmm, maybe this don't have to be a side hustle. Maybe this is my
Exactly.
to make sure I'm straight. Or maybe let me flip it. Let me make my actual regular job. Maybe that's gonna be my side hustle now.
Right. Right.
Really, people are starting to see not only with art, but businesses all over the place. I mean, every week you're turning up a new business popping up. And I think it's a
Oh
great
yeah.
thing because we've never had an opportunity where we focus so much on entrepreneurship, even wealth, building things, and
Hmm.
having something to give to our kids. And I remember the Dame Dash interview that he had on the Breakfast Club, and he
Hmm.
was saying, talking to DJ Envy about, can you give this to your kids? Can
Right.
the job you have now, can you give that to them? And I'm like, dang, that's crazy. I didn't even think about something as simple as if King needs a job right now or something, if I'm working for somebody else, can I give him that? No.
Right.
But if I put that effort into J-Roots Entertainment and I build that infrastructure, you come in whenever. This is yours. Which one? This is gonna be belong to you someday. What you need? You need a job. You ain't got to worry about working somebody else. You can come here
Absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
and that put a lot of things in perspective. Is like even this year has shown me like you put so much time and effort not only into business and companies, but think about all the time we waste with trying to focus on things that's not really important. Think about all the hours that we sit up. Oh man, I ain't got time
Man.
to do this. I ain't got time to write a proposal or a business plan, or even I don't have time to do whatever. I mean, you could be want to bake pies all day. How many times
Exactly.
you spend the time to actually learn recipes and try different ingredients? You know what? Patty got a pie. Let me try to make my own thing. Whatever. It don't have to be about business. It's just really about how can I find something that I'm gonna love to do and
Hmm.
focus. And it doesn't mean
That's
that you have to have this grand plan to leave your 9 to 5 because you have people that are career people in a job.
right. Right.
I mean, everyone has to find their place.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, you have to find out what's going to work for you, what's going to make it work. And I truly feel that artists have learned to kind of pivot and make things happen at the drop of
Hmm.
for
Yep.
our existence of just being an artist. You
That's
know,
true.
we talked about the show we did. Okay, I can't afford this play, but how am I still put on this play? How can I still get an audience and make this work? How can I travel from
Yep.
one state to the next and still do a show? You learn to make it work. But if you put that effort,
Hmm.
everything else will come to place. But you got to be ready to do that work, man.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. You put that work in, man. Like I told you before, man. One of my mentors always says that, you may forget the work, but the work won't forget you. You know what I mean? So it's a powerful statement, but it's true.
So we know that, every time we do things, not everybody's gonna receive or get what we're trying to do or see the vision. And we know that no success comes without doubters, haters, and
Right.
non.
Right.
Tell me about, have you had any experience or anything where you felt like people, not necessarily maybe being a hater, or maybe you have had haters, but have you had someone that maybe didn't believe or kind of, I know you talked about your teacher, but even
Yeah.
now, even more immediate, have you had someone that didn't kind of see your vision as it relates to your art?
I would say, other than the teacher, which is, I qualify her as a hater first and foremost. And so, first and foremost, I'm just gonna keep it 1,000. But outside of her, I may have had a few family members when I was younger. Kids like me, would pick at you about different things because they, again, that wasn't they didn't see what I was doing. Like, man, what you doing? Why you playing with these things? Why you making these things? Whatever. And, man, do you? I'm gonna do me. And that's kind of how I always was. I never let that bother me though. I always that was just like my little. It's my own little world.
Right,
That's
right.
why that's why I called it Tim's world because it was like my own little world.
Mhm.
And but I wouldn't really say no hating per se. But
Right.
they just didn't understand it. They didn't understand it. They didn't figure out. They would go do other things, and that kept them occupied. But it's kept me occupied, man. So I really didn't have a lot of haters other than the teacher. Hater, hater, hater.
When it's on screen, hate, 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 hate,
I
hate.
can't think of her name. I can't even think of her name now. That tells you how it don't bother me that much because I don't even remember her. You know what I mean? But I remember what she said.
No, no, definitely. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
exactly.
That someone that's in an art form, you an art teacher, you gonna say that this is not art,
I wish I could find her now, but anyway. Uh,
but man, that's crazy. So look, man. So everyone has things that they're trying to work on and do and find their ways to be grounded and rooted, right? How
Mhm.
do you keep yourself sane, not going crazy about stuff, and still be able to still create? Because it's very hard to be an artist, and people don't realize all the things that go through your head, all the things you want to create. Like, how do you find yourself kind of being laser focused, locked down? Because I know as me as an artist, it's always like 10 different projects in my head that I want to do. I'm like, all right, how can I do this? So, how do you kind of find yourself, being focused on things?
Well, couple things. You have to make sure that you're connected to the right people.
Mhm.
People that's gonna push you. People that's gonna say, "Hey, man, stop playing, man. Go on, you need to make that project. Go ahead and get that done." I got a couple of them. I think you know a couple of them. I got a couple of those, and also I would say, anybody that and I learned this. My mom told me a long time ago. I just didn't always utilize it. But anytime you got visions, you got ideas coming to your head. You hear people always say like, keep a little pad beside your bed, keep something written, where you can write stuff down. You got to have you. There you go. You got to have something because in your everyday, just being busy and working and things like that, you may get something come to your mind. If you don't write that down, or what we should be doing, especially you and I used to sell them those smart devices. Um, you got a smartphone. You know, use every tool available to you to to keep everything together. Because again, you're gonna have opportunities where you're gonna think of something and something's gonna happen. You're gonna forget about it. You may not remember it for a month later. But if what I try to do now, and again, I'm preaching to the choir because I had the same problems myself, is that I make sure that if I got an idea, I tell my wife, I tell you, I let people know what it is, and then I write it down. I make sure I do something to record it so I know it's there because I also notice that I'm getting older and Father Time is undefeated. So you're going to forget some things.
Yeah, you know me, man. You and I talk, I mean, weekly. I'm always hitting you up. Sometimes hey man, listen, I apologize, but I need to tell somebody this idea. I want to get feedback. And a lot of times,
Absolutely.
I'm telling you stuff or vice versa. Hey man, I got this idea. What do you think? And I think that's very important for artists to have whether it be a team or a person that they can kind of just sit back and say, yo, I have this idea. Let me just kind of let you be a soundboard and let me just kind of just go over everything. And let me know what maybe something I'm not seeing or ways that I can make it better. I think for me, that has been a great, space for me because me, I call you middle of the night. Hey Jones, man, it's
Exactly.
1 o'clock, dog. Hey, I just thought about this dope concept. You like, okay, all right, man, go ahead, let me know. And vice versa. You might text me something. Hey, man, what you think about
Yep.
it? I made this. What you think? I'm
Yep.
like, yo, this is dope. And I appreciate that we can have that type of interaction and that communication. Is like, look, not only is it about us being brothers, but it's like, yo, you got somebody that is a creative and understands
Right.
creating
Right.
and
That's it.
get that crazy brain that artists have because we thinking about 20 things at one time. We not just thinking about the weather. We thinking about, man, I want to do this, this, and this. If I do this project, I'm good. I need to get this. Oh, I forgot about this, this, and this. You think about 15, 20 different things in your head. And you tell it to someone who's not necessarily an artist, they like, yeah, I don't get it. I'm like, what? And
Exactly.
to have someone that you can have to just get those ideas, whether just to flesh out ideas or just be like, nah, you might want to go a different way about that. I think
Right. Right.
it's very
Right.
important. Would
Yeah.
you agree that people need to have that either team or just an individual they can kind of just get those ideas off?
100%, man. That's what I was about to say is that you got to be careful who you share your ideas and your dreams with because you got some people that they don't know how you do things and they don't know about your creative spirit. They can throw you a curve or they can, I'm not saying they hating per se, but they may
They just
they
don't.
don't they may not they don't see the vision. So that's what I'm saying. It's important for you to have your collective, your crew. And so it's only a few people that I deal with in that realm, because I know number one, they're not going to go off, run off, tell them my ideas or share them with anybody before I tell them to do so. So I just make sure I bounce off the right people. I got three people, and all three of them. So
Yes, sir.
I bounce these things off just to make sure. Again, it's just a way for you to make sure we're seeing the same thing, or you may be able to add something that I missed, or vice versa. You may
Yeah.
say, hey, you might want to do this. This could make this better, or what have you. So it's very important to have that, and it's got to be somebody you can trust and somebody that's got your best interest, and likewise,
Hey, when you talk about sharing them ideas, man, that's very important because a lot of times we get to talking to any and everybody, and then either not even for the fact of just like they gonna take your idea, but if they don't get it,
they don't get it.
don't do that. Why
Yeah,
why you do this, this, and this? Like that don't make sense. And then next thing you
right,
know, you doubting something and you don't create it, knowing that you were meant to create that, you were supposed to do that, and now you didn't
right.
have the opportunity because you listened to somebody else or sharing
Yeah.
your idea too soon. And I don't know if you remember this, but I remember the first time I told you, I said, man, I'm doing this play. It's a one-person show. I'm doing 3 characters. You said, what?
Yep.
Never seen that in my life. He said, I ain't saying you can't do it, but I would love to see that. I will be the
Yep.
first person to buy a ticket. And I think I told you
Yep.
about it, and like 2 years later, it happened.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I remember
Yep.
we were sitting there working. I said, man, I'm doing this show, and it's gonna be this, this, and this. And I'm gonna have 3 characters, and then each character
Hmm.
have a different outfit. They're gonna speak different, move different. And your face was so like,
I'm
what
like,
the dude talking about?
how's he gonna do that?
I'm not down
Yeah.
with you or nothing. And I took that as a challenge, man. Like, okay, cool. I gotta make him a believer because he ain't never seen me act or do
Right.
anything. He just know he got a coworker that's always talking about acting and arts and entertainment and everything. So
Yep.
how can I make him a believer? So it was my goal from the day you said that, like, okay, I'm gonna make this guy a believer.
Let me go ahead and say that you that's what I said. You made me a believer, and that's how I knew you really took your craft. I mean, I was sitting there on the front row at May, like, look at this. He told me he was going, ain't this about he is something else. But again, that's why, like I said, it's important to have the right people around you because first thing I said was, I said, you know what? I ain't saying you can't do it.
All right.
I just ain't never seen it. So I got to be there to see it. So and I believe it's the passion that you had. I
Right.
know you was gonna make it work, but that was my first time really seeing you do a play. And I was like, wow, this dude is, hey, he is what he said he is. He's a bad mother. Shut your mouth.
He was like, "Yeah, I gotta be the first bro." You were actually the first person to buy a ticket to the first show I
I
ever
had to, man. I
man.
told my wife, I said, we're going to see my boy Weeks. You
Yeah.
know, see him do his thing. She said, okay.
I remember afterward you were just like your face was just kinda like,
Man, he pulled it off. He pulled it off. I was stunned. I was stunned.
That's
I was
what's
stunned.
up, man. So tell us, man. I know you're always constantly working on things, man. What projects you working on, man? What can we look forward to seeing, man? I know you always got something tough.
Man, I've been bouncing around a lot of new ideas, a lot of new visions that I have, man. I got a lot coming down the pipeline, but lately I've been, obviously everything's going on, with Black America, man. I just feel like we got to have more representation of our people,
Mm,
not just from civil rights era, not just from sports and things of that nature. I feel like need to get back to that knowledge of knowing where we came from. We were kings and queens,
ooh,
and conquerors.
talk
So
us.
I've been working on some things from that perspective.
Mm.
And just for your viewing pleasure, I'll just give you a quick sneak peek on some things I'm working
Exclusive?
right now. I'm working on some things. This is I think I sent you a picture. You knew exactly what it was, but
What?
again, it's still in the early stages. But I'm just working on some things, man, that represents our people, man. And with that in mind too, I got to give a shout out to my main man, Chadwick Boseman, who's going on.
Yes, sir.
Rest in peace. I had to do something. Had to do something with regards to him, man. He was a very inspirational actor. So again, just trying to make sure I uplift my people, man. It ain't just about sports which I do love sports, and a lot of things I make is around sports or entertainment. But I want to do more to represent my people, man. As far as like the quality of where we came from. We got to see that we other things than just ball players. Nothing, no shade on acting. But I'm
Yeah,
saying, what I'm saying, as far as we put people up in pedestals, we don't think about where we came from, man. So that's a little sneak peek into what I've been working on, man. Just trying to do some things along that realm, man. Trying
hey,
to expand.
what happens when you're on the stage at the artist buffet? We get exclusive, baby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll do that for everybody, but for the co-creator, I got to do something for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's dope, man. So let me ask you this, man. I know as artists and also creatives, sometimes we can be in a mind state of looking at other people's success or even competition or whatever. How do you view someone else that does maybe? Of course, no one does what you do, right? But
Mhm.
someone maybe that is a visual artist. Do you look at those people as someone as competition? Do you look at them as something that gives you motivation? How do you view other artists that are doing kind of the same craft as what you do?
Um, it's funny you said that because I'll do a lot of searching on Instagram and places to see if I see anybody that's doing anything. Again, it may not be the same thing, but it's close to it. What
Mhm.
I kind of look at it as it's inspiration
Mm.
because they are out there doing their thing. They've got their page, they got their stuff out there. They're expressing themselves. They're doing their thing, and I'm like, you know what, it's like a brotherhood. I think that we should be able to embrace everybody's work. We
Yeah.
should be able to support everybody's work, even if it's a medium you don't necessarily participate in. Like you said, you don't sing, but you promote a lot of people that sing. You don't do what I do. You promote me, and so I'm like I think we as artists, um, no matter what you do, you should be able to be inspired by other people's art form. And you should always support them, because right now, as you said earlier, they're trying to do away with arts in like schools and things like that.
Nope.
We got to show them how important it is, man, because this is a outlet for people. We don't know what trauma they've been through. We don't know what life experiences they've had that caused them to like focus and put their energy and put their spirit and everything, their creative juices into what they do. Because some people everybody has a backstory,
Yeah.
and so we don't know what pushed them that way. So we got to support the arts, man. That's what it's about.
Hey, you know I always say that.
Oh
All
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got to do that.
so COVID-19 as is started, at the earlier part, the first quarter of this year, is still going on now. It has affected so many different industries and businesses and just
Mm.
individuals as a whole, in addition to everything else that comes along with that, man. Do you feel like COVID has helped your artistry as far as your creative process, or has it been something that kind of make you say, all right, let me just take a break from it? Because I've talked to several artists, and some people, feel one way or the other. Yeah, it helped me because I got to do more of it, or no, it hurt my business so much that that's kind of like I dialed back from it. So, what was the effect for you?
I'll be one of the ones that said it helped me because
Mm,
once I had a period where I slowed down. I wasn't working,
hmm.
and I was doing some other things that gave me more time, and actually it drew me in closer. I said, you know what, I need to create some things because I started looking around on Facebook and Instagram. So many people started businesses and started doing creative type businesses. Man,
Yeah.
it gave them an outlet, and for me, it gave me an outlet as well. But it made me kind of like say, hey, I maybe me doing what I'm doing, putting it out there, can be a bright spot for someone else. It may get our minds off of what we're going through right now. So we don't just think about gloom and doom.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's come up with something that get people excited, man. And I think, as you know, you and I we did that not too long ago. Put
yeah.
some things out, and it brought back some nostalgia for folks. And I think for me, it's been a good thing. I mean, I wouldn't say a pandemic was good, but it's been a good thing for me
Relate to your art, right, right.
as it relates to my art because it made me kind of dig really back in, and I've been like locked in since then, man.
Mhm. That's dope. That's dope,
Yeah.
man. So that's good that you can take something. Of course, we don't want to make small of those who has lost their lives throughout this time. But as far as just looking at the art industry as a whole, the movies,
Hmm.
a lot of things have been affected in a major way, and
Tremendously.
art has taken a huge toll. But on the flip side of that, art has also saved a lot of people. I mean, think of all the people that are looking at things to, like you said, distract themselves from the
Hmm.
trauma, the pain, to make them laugh, from losing, family members or whatever. Art has really been that shoulder to cry or lean on to say, you know what, I needed that laugh.
Yep.
I haven't
Yep.
laughed like this in X amount of days or throughout this whole year. So to be able to bring something to people that they didn't know they needed is a
Yep.
great feeling. For someone to look at your artwork and say, "Wow, this reminds me of," even like you said, you have Black Panther. You know,
Yep.
I remember finding out about Chadwick Boseman and just kind of talking to my son because he has the different Marvel characters, and Black Panther is the one he always takes out.
Yep.
Because he like it looks like me. You know,
Yeah.
so he always, if we're going out, he wanted, "Hey, I got to take my Black Panther." All the other ones are cool. I
Right.
inspired all of them are cool, but none of them look like him. When he sees,
Right.
Chadwick Boseman's character or Black Panther, it's like that looks like me. So, he identifies with that. So just having that conversation with him was kind of like, okay, let me see how this is going to be. And kids understand much more than we think.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And just having that conversation and dialogue with him is like, okay, cool. Art is really much bigger than people think. And sometimes they
Mhm.
don't even realize like
Oh yeah.
everything that revolves around art. You can think of anything in the world. Even politics has a form of art in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
These comedies that we're watching as it relates to those politics, but all aspects of it are art driven, and a lot of
Right.
people don't realize that. And that was the whole purpose behind creating this platform. I feel like I know dope people to do dope things. What better the way to show that than to give them an opportunity to talk about what they do and why? Because we don't have an outlet all the time to have these open dialogues. I know you and I talk very often about, art
Right.
stuff, but think about all those people who don't have an opportunity to talk about ideas that they want to do. You know, they have to talk to people who are not artists that don't understand, and they're doubting or like, "Oh, why are you doing that? How you gonna make that happen? Where you gonna
Right.
get the money from? Who going? Where's the
Yep.
pen? How you gonna do that?" So I think about artists that don't have that outlet. So, hopefully when people take a look at this show and listen to this, they'll be able to get something from it and see like, yo, we going through the same thing. We experience
Yeah.
those moments where we have doubt or fears about anything that's going on as it relates to our art too. So, do you have that though? Do you have moments where you just like, maybe my art ain't, Because I know I have it sometimes where I'm like, maybe no one cares about what I'm doing as it relates to my art. Sometimes, have you had moments like that though?
Oh yeah, yeah. I assume we all probably have that, man, because just being creative people, sometimes creative people can overthink things too. We can dissect our own stuff so much that we're not even giving ourselves the credit that we deserve. And again, because I'm never the type of person to toot my own horn anyway. You know what I mean? But it's just that from time to time you think like you know what I'm doing is that in the big scheme of things is that really important? Then I start thinking about, like I said, during this time period, looking at what's going on. Man, I was like, art has really been inspiring. It's just keeping people going, man, keep people alive. So
Yeah,
yeah, we definitely have to keep doing what we're doing, even when we don't think it's making a difference.
because there's somebody's watching. There's someone
Exactly,
listening. There's someone
exactly.
who's like, this looks like this or whatever. There's always that one person that ain't gonna never like or comment or do
Yep, yep.
anything, but they looking for you. They
They're
cheer
looking for you.
silently. They
Yeah,
wait for you to win. I
yeah,
definitely feel like that, and I'm learning that there's people out there that want you to win, whether you
yeah.
see them or not. They're out there. And like you said, you have been given a talent that God has given you. You owe it back to the world. You
That's
got to
true.
give it.
That's true.
So, as we come to a close, man, let me ask you this. What do you want people to know about Tim Jones, the artist?
Ooh, man, really, as it comes to art, I'm a person that puts puts everything. When I decide to do something, I put all my creative juices into. I put everything into it
Yeah.
because I really wanted to make an impact on somebody. You know what I mean? I started to see that, I was just making stuff for me before. It's making it for me, but then I make it now. I was like, man, I hope that somebody sees this and says, like, man, I remember when I was doing this back in the day, and I was remember this time frame, or yeah, that's one of my favorite people characters in the world, man, or whatever, whatever. I wanted to resonate with somebody, man, and so I really want to know that I put everything into what I do. When I do it, I'm gonna do it 100%, 150%, because I want to make sure that it reaches somebody.
Dope, man. So there may be an inspiring artist, or even someone that's a current artist, or even someone who maybe not understand as it relates to art. So the last thing I just want you to kind of talk to your last little moment or whatever you want to say to the people. What do you want to leave people with, man? Because you're artists, this is your opportunity to talk about your art directly.
Mhm.
What do you want to leave people with? Because I feel like people are going to be looking for something. So, what do you want to leave them with today?
I would say just anybody that has a talent, artistic talent, whatever it may be. It could be singing, dancing, drawing, paint, whatever it may be, acting. Um, you know, can always continue to work on your craft. Always continue to believe in yourself,
Mm.
because if you've been given that talent, if you've been given something that's pushing you to keep doing this thing, then it's something that God gave you. And like you said earlier, you owe it to the world. So just take it upon yourself to just say, you know what, you know, if it's up to me, if it is to be, it's up to me. Let's make this thing happen. If I can say anything to anybody, just don't. If you got a dream, move with it. Don't give up on it.
Hey, shout out to that, man. We definitely appreciate you coming through, man.
Oh man, I enjoyed it, brother.
Though, man. Where can they reach you at, man? If they're trying to get in contact with you, what?
Absolutely, absolutely. First and foremost, you can hit me up. You can DM me on Instagram. It is Tim's World. I also have a Gmail there. It's Tim's World at gmail.com. Either way, reach out to me if you got some questions, you need anything done. Also on Facebook, I also have my Facebook page. It is Tim's World. So just check me out. if you got any questions, shout me out. If anything you need, if you got any questions about anything you need to get made, I got you. I got you.
I'll let my man. I'm gonna drop your when we do the video aspect. I'm gonna actually drop your links in here so people will be able to see it. So when the video
Absolutely. Absolutely.
comes out. So
Absolutely.
yeah, man. Shout out to my man Tim Jones, man. I've known you, like I said, going on 10 years.
Yes,
Love
sir.
you, love the effort and time that you put in, the dedication. Shout out to you, just man, just believing. You know what I'm saying? I know, like I said, you start off doing it for yourself, but just believing that someone else saw something besides just yourself. Because it's hard.
Right.
That's a whole nother world. Making it for
Yes,
you,
it is.
for other people is completely different. So shout out to
Absolutely.
you, man. So we definitely appreciate you coming through, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me, brother. I appreciate it, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, man. It was an honor to have you, man. It's good to do some things and know people to do art is even more important, man. I'm a fan of art first.
Yes, sir.
You can always look for me to say, support the art, support the art. I love all aspects of it. There's not one part that I don't love as it relates to art. I'm always pushing the artist culture that we have. And we have an unspoken community where we got to look out for each other as being artists.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully someone will check this out and really see the importance of just believing. You hit on it. Believing when no one else does and perfecting your craft. It's one thing to say you want to do it, but are you going to do the work?
That's
We
it.
always
That's
talk
it.
about, hey, the work is more important than everything else.
That's it.
So definitely, man, I definitely appreciate you coming through. And man, when this drops, man, I hope someone is inspired. So shout out to you, my brother. Appreciate you,
Hey, man.
my man.
My man. Thank you, brother.
Of course.